Hello and welcome to another little fishy update on my fry. So I've actually just turned this net sideways just so you can see all the fish a bit better. So what happened about a month, 6 weeks ago, this net actually fell off of this little wooden frame here and fell into the water, and in the side of the net here there's little holes, so if the net's floating on the top, which it were at the time, the fish can sort of escape through these little holes, and these ones did. Now what's funny about that is before what were happening is, because it's a flat bottom tank, there's no slope on it, and the bottom drain is just there, you can just sort of see it. There were a bit of muck sort of gathering in this area here all the time, and I used to keep siphoning it out. And then when these fish escaped, they weren't doing that anymore. So there were no muck here, because the fish were either eating it or moving it and letting it go down the drain. And one of the things I've noticed, either because I think because they've got more room, there's less sort of fish in a confined space, they can eat they do a lot of grazing on the moss on the side. I don't know if they get as much food really, because I tend to put the food in the net, but obviously it does escape out of the net. But if you look, these fish are substantially bigger than these ones, and these ones have only been out of the net 6 weeks longer than these ones, so that's quite interesting. They're in the exact same pond, in the exact same water. The only difference is they're not in as confined a space, and they're literally twice the size. I mean, if you look at like that one there, and then compare it to ones in there, they're pretty much twice the size, the ones that managed to escape. So what I'm going to do now is, because these are all well big enough to not go through the little holes in that drain, I'm going to actually kick them out of this net, so they'll all be free to roam anywhere they want around the pond. So let's get on with that. Right, so here we are. I'm going to try and let these out at net. I don't think there's any really good way of doing this, so we'll just see how it goes. So first thing I'm going to do is put this into the water. Let it float, and then actually we want that orange with this. I think I'll just lift it up. Want to sink. Hey, come on. There's going to be sink. Managed to get it. That was a lot easier than I expected. Let me check this outside. So that's the little fishes out of the net. It's quite funny to see them when they first sort of get out of the net. They're all sort of freaking out and having a look around and exploring new surroundings and stuff like that. I gave them about 10 minutes after I made this little bit of video to relax, and they started eating orange and sort of grazing and that once they'd got used to the having more space and stuff like that. And yeah, it's quite funny. They spin around, what is it, anti-clockwise in this tank, because the water goes round clockwise. And it's funny, you can actually see the difference between the smaller ones and the big ones, but I do think the smaller ones will actually catch up with the fish that were out of the net longer. And there are obviously some incredibly small ones in there that you can sort of get a glimpse of every now and then, but I think they'll either get eaten or sort of die as time goes on. This experience told me from last year. There we go, a lot happier now they've had a day to settle. So I've let them settle down for a while and been feeding them, they've sort of got used to new surroundings. I find it best to just leave them alone for a little bit and let them sort of settle in. Best not to disturb them when you're sort of change the surroundings too much. They've really gone through that orange, didn't waste any time with it. It's just a hollow shell now. I do actually think that the smaller ones will catch up and grow to similar size as the ones that were out of the net longer. I don't think that'll take long to do actually. For some reason they do seem to sort of grow at different levels, and then all of a sudden some of them will just grow really quick. It's quite funny. Obviously, I mean, if you look really close, I don't think the camera will really pick them up, but there are some really small ones still. Even from last year's fry, there are still some pretty small ones. There's some fry from last year's batch that wouldn't look out of place in these fry. They just haven't really grown very much. I don't know what's going to happen to them yet. It's hard to tell. I'm going to wait till next spring before I sort of work that stuff out. But there's not many of them. But the last year's fry, some of them are quite a decent size. In fact, I'll look at some of last year's fry now. And some of them are quite a decent size, so it's not really good that there's some still this small. They could be quite easily eaten or damaged and killed. Yeah, so there we go, that's these fry. They're doing really well, I'm pretty happy with them. There's some nice colours in them. It's really difficult to pick it up on camera, the sort of colours at this stage. It's a bit difficult when they're not sort of at the surface, but I like these, sort of like them ones. The white ones. They look as though they might turn into some nice metallic fish in there. Quite pleased with them. But as we did last year, we'll see what we end up with. So here we are at the main pond, which is where some of last year's fry ended up. Not too many of them though, because I've got enough fish in this tank to be fair. But this little guy here, one of the most sociable fish I've ever had. He's one of last year's fry, surprisingly enough. And I put him specifically in here because he were hand feeding like that when he were in the quarantine tank at the back where the little ones are now. He were hand feeding. I literally just picked him up, I took water and popped him in here, and I think there's two of them like that. I don't know where the other one's gone, but this one in particular is always wanting food. There's the other one. And let's go and have a look at the other fry in the other fish house. So here we are with last year's fry that are now in this tank in here. Open this up. So there is a couple that aren't last year's fry, a couple of bigger fish. I'll point them out if they come onto camera. But there's not, you see the colours are a bit dim. It's hard to tell, obviously again it's hard to tell on camera. The colours are a bit dim to be fair, but that's because they're indoors. There are a certain amount of these, if you saw the video, where they're in a blue tank outside, and those particular ones still have much better reds than the sort of these duller ones. Yeah, that little fish is biting my fingers. But this water's quite warm, it's 20 degrees at the minute. I'm keeping it heated, so they're quite happy and growing really well and eating like crazy. So yeah, they're doing really well. I think because this tank gets a lot of sun in summer, so when summer and spring comes round, we'll start to see the colours come out a lot better. As you can see, there's quite a few deeper red fish like in the tank. They're the ones that were outside. He's a big chaggy. He's one of the fry from last year. I think the only one that isn't one of these fry is him there, that big fish there. He's not one of the fry, he's just one of the fish that ended up getting left in. But yeah, they're all doing pretty well. I've got loads too many fish but they're all really happy. The water quality is spot on, and as you can see, I'm quite looking forward to some food. So there we go, that's an update on my little fishes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, then please like it. If you want to see more videos like this, then please feel free to subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, then please put them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next one.